On that day, a great persecution began against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. Some devout men buried Stephen and made loud lamentation over him. But Saul began ravaging the church, entering house after house, and dragging off men and women. He would put them into prison. Therefore, those who had been scattered went about preaching the word. Philip went down to the city of Samaria and began proclaiming Christ to them. That was Acts chapter 8, verses 1 through 5, which comes on the heels of the execution of Stephen. Stephen was stoned to death for his part in spreading the gospel in Jerusalem and Judea. Oh, he must have been such an awful man, spewing such awful message that Jesus came into the world to save sinners, just as the scriptures had foretold. So, another tragic execution of an innocent man, tried, convicted, and executed by a corrupt court. And yet it was that action and the persecution that followed it that forced Christians out of Jerusalem and into Samaria. And here we're presented with a bit of a paradox. Persecution is a bad thing. Yes, it's evil, it's painful, it's abhorrent. Call it any bad word you can think of. That would be appropriate. And yet, the Holy Spirit often used persecution and uses it still today to grow his church. Who was it who said something like, the seed of the church is watered by the blood of the martyrs? Or, as Warren Wiersbe put it, persecution does to the church what wind does to seed. It scatters it and only produces a greater harvest. And so it happened in Samaria. The crowds with one accord were giving attention to what was said by Philip as they heard and saw the signs which he was performing. So there was much rejoicing in that city. They received God's grace with great joy and rejoicing. When was the last time you rejoiced for your salvation?